Tonight, PDP presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar condemns what he terms lopsided appointment of heads of security agencies, restates commitments to restructuring the nation. I'm in support of a secular government. APC presidential candidate Bola Tinubu gives reasons for his choice of a Muslim running mate during a meeting with the leadership of CAN in Abuja. And the president approves 134 billion naira for military veterans, reiterates resolve to leave the nation safer at the emblem appeal launch for the 2023 Armed Forces Remembrance Day celebration.
On business news tonight, the African Development Bank invests $20 million in renewable energy projects across sub-Saharan Africa over a 10-year period.
On sports news tonight, Portugal coach Fernando Santos leaves out embattled Manchester United striker Cristiano Ronaldo from Thursday's international friendly game against Nigeria's Super Eagles.
And from Abuja, federal government maintains that its policy on no work, no pay stands, vows that university lecturers who went on strike would not be paid for work not done.
And in international news from London, Poland's president has said there are no signs of an intentional attack after a missile strike killed 2 people on a farm near the western border with Ukraine.
Well, it's no doubt a business schedule for those vying for the nation's #1 seat, and rightly so. Well, today, members of the Fourth Estate of the Realm, under the aegis of the Nigerian Guild of Editors, took on the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Mr. Atiku Abubakar, on his manifesto. Mr. Atiku faulted what he describes as the lopsided appointments of heads of security agencies in the country, while also restating his commitments to restructuring the country while working with the legislature. Our correspondent Timothy Crown at Deribigbe reports.
This convergence is the second in the series of engagement by the Nigerian Guild of Editors with stakeholders ahead of the 2023 general elections. The presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, is the guest. He takes the audience through some of his plans for the country to leave March winner at the presidential election.
All these things we are talking about, we will not be able to achieve them without education. So basically, education, in fact, should be #1. I move to the issue of insecurity. We need to secure our country first. There is no geopolitical zone in this country that has no security or insecurity challenge. Every zone in this country, there is no exception. Thirdly, I move to the issue of economy. It's only when you have a country, a united country, when you have peace, and then you begin to think about the economy. And the economy is such a very vast area.
Your Excellency, my name is Ambrose Oko from Channels TV.
The media managers are not going to let him go without taking him up on other areas like restructuring, the economy, and more.
If you see the amount of work that government has to do in this country, like say, building and rebuilding our ports, constructing our railway lines, building our highways, the amount of money, let me borrow Dr. Pesci's word, humongous amount of money that you require, you know that the government doesn't have it. I would rather concession most of this to the private sector and give them tax breaks. They invest, recover their money, and we will have development, and we will have progress, we will have jobs, and we will have prosperity.
And one way he believes he can unify the country is by giving every part a sense of belonging, which he says is currently lacking in the present administration.
PDP will form a government of national unity. We will bring other members of the party opposition who would have lost the vote. Today, we have 17 heads of the various security agencies. All of them came from the north. I won't do that. Madness. I will make sure that every geopolitical zone is represented in those security outfits.
The coming days will see other presidential candidates make appearances and talk about their plans for the country over the next 4 years and how they hope to achieve such plans. Timothy Crown, Adiribibe, Channels Television News.
Notwithstanding the internal wranglings in his party, the PDP, the leadership says it is hoping to win 25 states, including Lagos, in the forthcoming general elections. The national chairman of the party, Senator Yocha Ayu, stated this at a meeting in Abuja to receive the report of the Lagos and Osun States PDP Reconciliation Committee. The committee, led by the PDP candidate in the Ondo State 2020 governorship election, Mr. Eitayo Jegede, says it has resolved all disagreements in Lagos and Osun States of the chapters of the party, I should say.
I do agree with you absolutely that where the leadership of the party is united, it is always possible to have positive results. This has been demonstrated in a number of states already. And since we came on board, our emphasis has been on pushing for unity of the leaders, which will also bring on board unity of the followership. We are happy, as you have said, that the leaders in Lagos, whatever differences they are setting aside those differences, and they are coming together for the greater glory of the party. PDP, we have a governor in Lagos and several other positions, senators, House of Reps, and House of Assembly. We pray and hope that all leaders in all chapters will come together and help us work as one family so that by early next year, the PDP will be celebrating, as I have always predicted, at least 25 governors, and also be having a big victory party in the presidential villa.
Now, for the ruling All Progressives Congress APC, its presidential candidate, Chief Bola Tinubu, is again defending his decision to run a Muslim ticket, stating that he never intended to undermine any religious group. Speaking on day 2 of the presidential dialogue series organized by the Christian Association of Nigeria, the APC presidential candidate says his decision is born out of the need to salvage the nation from its challenges. He explains that his track record as a governor of Lagos State is devoid of religious bigotry, and as such, he shall be given an opportunity to rule in 2023. Meanwhile, Governor Dave Umahi of Ebonyi State is assuring the presidential candidate of the APC that the state, that's Ebonyi State, will vote massively for him during 2023 presidential election. Governor Umahi was speaking at the commissioning of the Ebonyi State Governor's Lodge in Abuja, which was attended by Chief Tinubu and leaders of the party. Governor Umahi also spoke of plans by Ebonyi State to organize a mega rally for the presidential candidate soon.
We will do rally that is never witnessed in the entire Southeast in Ebonyi State. And any party that comes to Ebonyi and you're able to get 10% of that population, we will allocate some votes to you. But none of you can do that. So we welcome Asiwaju and the governors to Ebonyi State for mother of all rallies. All rallies. Your Excellency, you will see what an engineer can do when you come. We are not hiding to say that you are a candidate. You are not hiding to say that you take care of the Southeast people. We are not hiding to say that all our votes will go to APC. There is no mistake about that. So, the people of Southeast, we have spoken. And I'm the chairman of Southeast Governors Forum. So I speak on their behalf. We know where it will be better for us in 2023, and that is APC.
And it's a reassurance coming from the electoral umpire exactly 100 days to the 2023 election, as the chairman of Inec, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, today doubled down on the use of the bimodal voter accreditation system, BVAS, and the result viewing portal IREV for the election. In a statement to update citizens on the Commission's preparations, Professor Yakubu says the Commission's loyalty is to Nigerians who want credible elections, and the deployment of technology has significantly improved the process. The statement reads in part, "There is no going back on the deployment of BVAS and IREV for the 2023 general election." The Inec boss also promised that the Commission will soon commence weekly and bi-weekly media briefings as elections approach, while appealing to citizens to actively participate in the process. And in a rather dramatic twist, the Ekiti State Legislative Complex has been shut down by the police barely 24 hours after the swearing-in of a new speaker over what the police in the state calls intelligence report of a planned attack on the assembly. However, the new speaker, Honorable Boyega Aribishogun, is questioning the findings of the police and the motive behind shutting down the assembly. He was a guest on our Politics Today show earlier this evening.
All we were just told by the police was that they had the intelligence report that there are some hoodlums coming to attack the place and that we should evacuate the entire complex so that they can comb the entire premises, whether there are ammunition and whatever there. And when we eventually met the commissioner of police, what he told us was that they have credible evidence to show that the hoodlums are coming to attack and that we should give them few hours, only few hours, to investigate, and at the end of the day, they will come back, they will come back.
So have they come back to you, and what are they telling you? What are the hopes of getting back to the assembly? When do you hope to go back to sitting? You have not even fully functioned as a speaker for a full day.
What the CP told us was that they are going to conduct the investigation in a few hours, and that before the end of work today, they will inform the speaker, that is myself, that we should resume duty tomorrow. So we are still waiting for the information. So I think the police should be asked whether they have concluded the investigation, so that.
So you don't, Speaker, you don't know when you are going back to the assembly for legislative sitting?
Only have 4 or 5 hours to conduct the investigation, and we are resuming tomorrow morning.
Also, security now. Troops of the Nigerian army say they have killed a dreaded bandit, Kachala Gudao, during an operation in Kaduna State on Sunday. The Kaduna State Commissioner for Internal Security and Home Affairs, Samuel Arawan, explains in a statement that Gudao, who commanded a large number of foot soldiers, had been carrying out kidnappings and killings in Chikun, Kachia and Kajuru local government areas before his death. The remains of Gudao, who is said to have links with other notorious kingpins across the northwest and north-central states, were retrieved in the Kankomi forest, where he was said to have bled to death. Gudao, according to security reports, played leading roles in the joint kidnappings of students and expatriates in Kajuru, Chikun and Kachia councils, aside the killing of kidnapped citizens and victims who resisted abduction. He was also said to have engaged in coordinated attacks on herder settlements, disposing them of livestock, which made him the illegal possessor of large herds of cattle. The identity of another of the neutralized bandits, whose remains were found by the troops, has been confirmed as Regi Mame, one of Gudao's trusted aides. And in part two, after the break, Senate pledges to provide legislative support for the redesigning of the 200, 500 and 1,000 Naira notes by the central bank, following a heated debate by the lawmakers on the matter. Well, that's in a moment. Well, stay with us. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10, live on Channels Television Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. PDP presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar condemns what he terms lopsided appointments of heads of security agencies, restates commitments to restructuring the country. I'm in support of a secular government. APC presidential candidate Bola Tinubu gives reasons for his choice of a Muslim running mate during a meeting with the leadership of CAN in Abuja. The president approves 134 billion naira for military veterans, reiterates resolve to leave the nation safer at the emblem appeal launch for the 2023 Armed Forces Remembrance Day celebration. And Poland's president says there are no signs of an intentional attack after a missile strike killed 2 people on a farm near the Ukrainian border. It's time to build a new Nigeria with an outlook that goes beyond its fault lines. So this is coming from the Rivers State Governor, Nyesom Wike, who is calling for national unity and a nation where the people's interest is considered first. He made the call at the inauguration of the latest flyover constructed by his administration in his country home, where the special guest and his one-time political rival, former governor of Edo State, Mr. Adams Oshiomhole, commended Governor Wike for providing quality infrastructure in the state.
This 820-meter-long flyover in the heart of Port Harcourt metropolis is the 8th on the checklist of Governor Nyesom Wike, whose mission is to build 12 of such structures in 4 years. Constructed in 12 months as planned, this one on Ada George Road in the governor's hometown of Rumwe-Prikom in Obiakpo local government area is to be commissioned by his once political foe and former governor of Edo State, Adams Oshiomhole. Both men had waged a strong political war against each other during the Edo governorship election in 2020, but Governor Wike, who led the PDP campaign at the time, is seizing this opportunity to publicly mend fences.
I was virtually in charge every day coming out on television to take you on. And I say you will not win and that you didn't win. So I want to still apologize for all the things I said that time. But you too, you prepared me here. During 2019 election, you sent in all the soldiers in this world. But the people stood firm and resisted it. So you did me one, me I did you one. So
for Governor Wike, politics is a game of interest. So his support, especially for next year's election, will be for those who would remember his state for good and ensure equal rights and opportunities in the country.
No need of saying that you are from not for this place, people will not vote for you. No, we will not want that. We want a Nigeria that everybody can say, indeed, this is the leader we have. Indeed, this is the Nigeria we are looking for. Indeed, the Nigeria we are looking for has come to stay. And so for us, all we are looking for is how Nigeria will progress.
Before commissioning the flyover, former Governor Oshiomhole agrees with his host that Nigeria needs true leadership, while commending Wike's efforts in infrastructure delivery, which recently earned him a presidential award.
When we make promises and people give us the benefit of the doubt, when the election season is over, we should move away from politics to projects.
The people of this area.
It's cheery news for military veterans as President Muhammadu Buhari approves 134 billion naira as payment for security department allowances to all veterans. He broke the news today during the emblem appeal launch for the 2023 Armed Forces Remembrance Day celebration, which held in the State House Council chambers, where he again promised to leave Nigeria a safer country when he exits in 2023. At a brief ceremony, the president asked Nigerians and corporate organizations to support the country's veterans whose past sacrifices have kept the country together. Our State House correspondent, Gloria Mezoke, reports.
Fresh from 2 weeks of medical vacation, the President, Muhammadu Buhari, presides over the Federal Executive Council meeting, attended by the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo. He first kicks off a brief ceremony to mark the annual launch of the 2023 Armed Forces Remembrance Day emblem by approving 134 billion naira for military veterans.
I approve the payment of security debarment allowance to veterans with effect from 2017. However, in order to capture all veterans hitherto excluded from the payment of the security debarment allowance, I have approved a review of the effective date of the MAFA 2017 accordingly. I have also approved the sum of 134,749,953,243 Naira, 69 kobo only for that purpose.
Against the backdrop of the Armed Forces Remembrance Day, symbolizing the end of the Nigerian Civil War, President Buhari restates a promise to keep the country safe.
I would like to reiterate my earlier resolve to hand over a Nigeria at the end of my tenure that is free from insecurity to the next generation of leaders, and with the gallantry and sacrifices exhibited by men and women of our armed forces in the campaign against insurgency and other security operations.
For the President of the Senate and security chiefs, the government's support is crucial to aid the war against insecurity.
The most logical thing to do for us in the National Assembly is to also participate in that enterprise of ensuring that we provide resources for the armed forces and other security agencies to continue to fight the insecurity that we face, and is something that is doable.
He appealed to Nigerians to show greater support to the shared challenges as he vows that the legislature will offer donations to the appeal fund after adequate consultations. From the presidential villa, Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
Well, Gloria is not done just yet. She's now sitting by in our Abuja studio with more stories on the news at 10. Hello, Gloria.
Hello, Kayode. Amidst protests by the Academic Staff Union of Universities over the payment of half salary by the federal government in October, the federal government maintains its position that the lecturers would not be paid for work not done. The Minister of Education, Adamu, stated this today after the Federal Executive Council meeting. He debunked the claim by ASU that the half payment was simply a tactic to casualize lecturers in the university system.
Well, I think that's the position of the government, that it is not going to pay anyone work not done. They only did, I think, the number of days that they were paid. How can anybody make a university lecturer or casual? Do you know the meaning of casual worker? But if you know the meaning of a casual worker, it is impossible to make a university lecturer a casual worker.
The Senate has resolved to provide legislative support to the CBN to redesign new Naira notes. The upper chamber is making this resolution after a heated debate on a motion moved by Senator Uba Sani on CBN's policy to redesign the Naira note. Majority of senators across party lines supports the redesigning of the Naira, but some of them are concerned about the deadline set by the Apex Bank for the old notes to be deposited in commercial banks. Our correspondent, Linda Akigbe, reports.
Excuse me, time is of the essence.
The Senate resumes plenary session a month after it suspended sittings to allow its committees hold budget defense sessions with government agencies.
The Senate knows that currency management is
in the period when plenary was suspended, the CBN announced a policy to redesign the Naira, and that policy is a major agenda before lawmakers on Wednesday.
The redesign of the currency will help halt further depreciation of Naira as the higher denomination and the volume of banknotes outside the banking system used to attack the currency will reduce.
Just as a redesign of the Naira note has sparked conversation across the country on the merits and demerits, lawmakers too have strong opinions on the policy.
Mr. President, I am in full support of this motion. But I also believe that there are serious issues to be considered. One of them is the one mentioned by the minority leader on the window open to everybody to exchange their money for the new one. 1 month and a half is extremely short for what we're about to do.
In my state, we have 27 local government. After the insurgency, as it is now, we only have 5 banks in the 27 local government. And you know, if this is implemented without adequate arrangement, people will have problem moving their monies to the central banks. The insurgents, armed robbers, criminals will virtually be looking out to waylay them and take away the little they have.
A passionate contribution by Senator Basi Akpan did not go down well with some lawmakers seeking the extension of the deadline, and this almost throws the chamber into a rowdy session.
People are snatching away billions of naira cash, trillions of cash all over the world in this country. So we must support the Central Bank of Nigeria. I'm not sure you are certain here that we are guided by the extant laws. That law made by the National Assembly does not require Central Bank of Nigeria to seek the support of the National Assembly. It does not.
Senator Akpan, take your seat. Gentlemen, please take your seat. Take your seats.
After calm was restored to the chamber, the Senate resolves to provide legislative support to the CBN for the redesign of the Naira notes. The upper chamber has also directed its Committee on Banking, Insurance and Financial Institutions to embark on aggressive oversight to ensure that Nigerians, particularly those in the rural areas and the unbanked, are protected by the CBN and financial institutions, and to ensure that they are also not shut out of the process. From the National Assembly, Linda Akibi, Channels Television News.
Well, still ahead on the news at 10, it's a day for Nollywood at the UN World Tourism Organization's conference in Lagos. Plus, the African Development Bank invests $20 million in renewable energy projects across sub-Saharan Africa over a 10-year period. But that's in business news. Do join us again.
The Lagos lawmaker who died in Jos Plateau State on Tuesday after slumping at the APC Presidential Campaign flag-off has been buried according to Islamic rites. Family, friends and associates of the late lawmaker, Honorable Abdul Sabur Olawale, were also part of the ceremony at the Ebony Vault, where Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu and his deputy, Kadri Hamzat, joined the crowd of mourners. Until his death, Mr. Olawale represented Mushin Constituency 2 and chaired the House Committee on Local Government and Community Relations. What's the company news now? Foremost tomato paste manufacturer Erisco Foods Limited has emphasized the needs to embrace made-in-Nigeria product to grow the nation's economy. Now, this came to the fore during the unveiling of new products and rewards for distributors by the company in Lagos. With an installation production capacity of 450,000 metric tons per annum, Erisco Foods is said to be the largest tomato paste manufacturing company in Africa and 4th largest in the world.
It's a big day for Erisco Foods Limited, a celebration of product unveiling and rewards for distributors who are responsible for making their products get to the consumers. Chairman Erisco Foods Limited, Alhaji Abubakar Bashir, hails the workers and distributors for their tireless efforts in ensuring the products are available to other African countries.
I want to appreciate all our distributors who have worked hard, who have worked day and night to cover the entire Nigeria.
Company's president and CEO Eric Umafia highlights some of the problems bedeviling the nation's economy.
If you want to survive, you must buy made in Nigeria first. Secondly, treat Nigerian manufacturers, give them respect, revive them. We pay more than 15 taxes every month. Different taxes. You pay 30% at the end of the year to the federal government. They didn't put cover in your business, so then they'll come and pestering you, pressuring you. You must close. And when you close, they behave like people in football. When you see a footballer stop another person, he will hands off. I didn't touch him.
Then comes the unveiling of the new products, with top celebrities Onyeka Onwenu and Ngozi Nwosu joining the grand occasion. And cash rewards for distributors.
Best 3 distributors of Erisco.
Those who identify with the brand gives reasons why local manufacturers need support.
I'm so happy. You can see I'm grateful. Erisco product is a very good product. I will invite people to patronize Erisco, eat Erisco food.
The reason I got involved with them is to encourage that made in Nigeria. We have to start. This country is so richly endowed. We're hardworking people. All we need is for government to have the policies that will encourage us.
The launch of this product may just be the catalyst needed for more people to embrace made in Nigeria products.
Well, for more business stories on the news at 10, here's Willie Bunk.
Thanks, Kayode. The African Development Bank, AFDB, has approved an investment of $20 million in private equity fund to promote renewable energy in Africa. The Evolution Fund 3 seeks to mobilize about $400 million into renewable energy and resource efficiency assets across sub-Saharan Africa over a period of 10 years. According to the AFDB, the bank's investment in Evolution Fund 3 aligns with its high-five objectives and will assist regional member countries to achieve their nationally determined contributions and Paris Agreement obligations. Economic think tank, the Center for Promotion of Private Enterprise, CPPE, has recommended some measures that can help tackle Nigeria's surge in inflation, which has risen to a 17-year high of 21.09% in October. In a statement released today, the CPPE Chief Executive Officer, Dr. Muda Yusuf, mentioned that the measures required include urgent government intervention to address the challenges bedeviling the supply side of the economy, addressing production constraints, fixing the dysfunctional forex policy, and institution of fiscal reforms to curb escalating deficit spending. Dr. Yusuf adds that the government could tweak the tariff policies by granting concessionary import duty on intermediate products for industrialists, especially those in the food processing segments of the agricultural value chain, which could give producers and citizens some relief. And now to the stock market report, where equities made a rebound in today's trading session as investors eyed MTN Nigeria. Laddie Williams tells us more.
Hello and welcome to the stock market report. And finally, we have a green close this week. And it's not by a bad margin there. We see over 0.5%. 44K level, talking about the all-share index. Market cap, trying to get back to that 24 trillion level, but didn't just get there today. 23.993 trillion naira, that's what we have for the market cap. Let's look at the activity chart that's mostly green, just deals in the red, 3,039 deals, less than we had yesterday. Value, though, much higher, 2.86 billion naira. We see more volume there traded today. Let's look at the top gainers counter. See Cornerstone topping that counter, up 10%. MRS up 9.73%. We see Zenith Bank. Not seen Zenith Bank on the top gainers list in a while. And we have another tier 1 banker also on this list. Let's look at the losers counter now. We see Turner topping that counter, down 10%. We see Guinness there. Big drop from Guinness, 67 naira. 20 kobo. Well, the midweek trading session didn't disappoint at all, even though we got that hot inflation data yesterday, but it's a negative market breadth with 20 gainers and 22 losers. Well, that's the stock market report. I'm Laddie Williams. It's back to you.
And that's it on business news. It's back to Kayode for the rest of the news at 10.
Well, thanks, Will. Let's talk tourism. One of the cardinal objectives of the United Nations World Tourism Organization, which is part of its agenda for Africa, is to prioritize education and youth empowerment in order to create employment opportunities in the tourism subsector. Well, this was part of a key point highlighted on the second day of the maiden edition of the UNWTO Global Conference on Tourism. Our correspondent, Olumide Macaulay, reports.
The second day of the World Tourism Organization Global Conference gets underway. With the arrival of the Vice President of Nigeria, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, here to represent his principal, President Muhammadu Buhari.
His Excellency, the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, GCON.
First, the Minister of Information, Culture and Tourism relays relevant statistics of current sector realities.
The creative arts is estimated to generate annually a revenue of over $2 trillion and accounts for over 50 million jobs worldwide. According to a recent IMF report, the entertainment and creative industry in Nigeria, which in the last decade have experienced massive growth and international recognition, accounts for 1.5% of Nigeria's GDP.
From the Secretary General of the UNWTO comes further disclosure.
I kindly want to acknowledge the support from Channel TV. Dear John Momo, he is here with us, and he is another very good and strong partner with whom we are going to strengthen and to promote African tourism and African culture worldwide. Global exports of creative goods could represent 10% of the global GDP before 2030. However, growth cannot be our only goal. We have an opportunity to build a more resilient, more sustainable and more inclusive future.
This is followed by a cultural display. The Vice President ascending the podium prefers why the creative industry is important to tourism, as he shares his approval of current music trends.
Let me see you. Lo, 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 lo. Lo, 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 lo. You got it. You don't cast, last. Everybody go chop breakfast. The theme of this conference, linking tourism, culture and creative industries, pathways to recovery and inclusive development, is in line with the great work that the UNWTO has done in speeding up economic recovery and promoting inclusive development.
A plaque of commemoration awarded to the President Muhammadu Buhari received on his behalf by the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo.
The Secretary General and the Honorable Minister
the sky is the limit if the potentials of tourism are harnessed properly with adequate government policies to provide an enabling environment. Olumide Macaulay, Channels Television News.
For more on the UNWTO Global Conference on Tourism, Nollywood, as the Nigerian movie industry is fondly called, has an important role to play in tourism development in Africa. And this is coming from the Secretary General of the World Tourism Organization, Zurab Pololikashvili, at an industry-dedicated session during the just concluded Global Conference of the organization.
Day 3 of the World Tourism Organization's Global Conference puts participants in a session with the Nigerian filming community dubbed Nollywood. With a growing global reputation that is already chief content in Africa and some other parts of the world, Nollywood, alongside its sister industry in music, stand as perhaps the most important marketing tool for the country.
Nollywood, like leading cinema producer worldwide, to promote African assets. We are not talking about only Nigeria, because Nollywood can be a hub for Africa, which can serve to other African countries. It's easier to understand each other from here, and let's do it. I mean, I'm sure that all of you will be part of this very historical and important project, and let's make it happen.
Practitioners came to the table prepared with ready presentations for the Nigerian government through the Ministry of Information, Culture and Tourism. Scholar Shaibu Hussaini and Directors Guild President Victor Ohai, alongside others, share some of the burning ideas that can help the synergy between culture, the creative industry and tourism in line with the theme of the global conference.
There's a Nigerian film policy that was designed in 1992. That policy has never been implemented. In fact, the only part of that policy that was implemented was the establishment of the Nigerian Film, formal establishment of the Nigerian Film Corporation and then the National Film and Video Censors Board.
Nigeria's host minister, Mr. Lai Mohammed, who had been engaging the industry, responded with some news on policy amendments that might bring more ease to the filming community.
We succeeded in including in the list of pioneer status the creative industry. In other words, if you make a film, you'll be treated as a pioneer, which means you'll be exempt from tax for the first 3 years and other benefits. But what we realized again, and we're working on it, is that most films in Nigeria don't have a budget of up to 100 million naira. So not many people are benefiting. So we want to bring it down to a lower level. We'll continue to work for you. I thank you very much.
This day with Nollywood wraps up the 3-day global conference of the World Tourism Organization's Global Conference on Linking Tourism, Culture and Creative Industries.
And to the foreign scene, where Polish President Andrzej Duda says there are no signs of an intentional attack following a missile strike that hit some parts of the nation. Simon PC has more in Around the World in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Poland's President Andrzej Duda has said there are no signs of an intentional attack after a missile strike killed 2 people on a farm near the western border with Ukraine. The Polish Foreign Ministry said the rocket fell on a grain drying facility in a village in eastern Poland about 6 kilometers from the border with Ukraine. Here, plumes of smoke rising from the explosion. It is thought a Ukrainian air defense missile may have been to blame after being knocked off course. It took place as Ukraine came under fire from one of the biggest barrages of missile strikes of the war. While Russia didn't fire the missile that caused the deaths in Poland, NATO's Secretary General says Moscow is still ultimately responsible.
Our preliminary analysis suggests that the incident was likely caused by a Ukrainian air defense missile fired to defend Ukrainian territory against Russian cruise missile attacks. But let me be clear, this is not Ukraine's fault. Russia bears ultimate responsibility as it continues its illegal war against Ukraine.
New drone footage released by the Ukrainian military shows the extent of the damage done to the Antonivsky Bridge, which was blown up several weeks ago. The video shows whole sections of the bridge missing. The bridge was the only nearby road crossing from Kherson to the eastern bank of the Dnipro River, controlled by Russian troops. Ukrainian forces re-entered the southern city on Friday after Russian troops abandoned the only regional center captured since their full-scale invasion of Ukraine in February. The former US President Donald Trump has launched his 3rd bid for the White House.
America's comeback starts right now.
The technology giant Amazon has started laying off staff, according to LinkedIn posts by workers who say they have been impacted by job cuts. This week it was reported that the company is planning to cut 10,000 jobs, or around 3% of its office staff. It comes as thousands of jobs are being shed across the technology industry, as firms see sales slow amid growing concerns about an economic downturn. And the American space agency NASA has launched its most powerful ever rocket from Cape Canaveral in Florida.
4-stage engine start. 3, 2, 1. Boosters in ignition. And liftoff of Artemis 1. We rise together back to the moon and beyond.
The 100-meter tall Artemis vehicle climbed skyward in a stupendous mix of light and sound.
All 4 RS-25 engines on the core stage and 2 solid rockets.
Its objective was to hurl an astronaut capsule in the direction of the moon. Liftoff came on the 3rd attempt at launching the long-delayed multi-billion-dollar rocket after 10 weeks beset by numerous technical mishaps and back-to-back hurricanes.
Today we got to witness the world's most powerful rocket take the Earth by its edges and shake the wicked out of it, and it was quite a sight.
And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel studios in Lagos.
Many thanks, Simon. Portugal striker Cristiano Ronaldo has been left out of the team's World Cup warm-up friendly against Nigeria's Super Eagles on Thursday after suffering a stomach bug. A Portugal coach Fernando Santos confirmed that the 5-time Ballon d'Or winner did not train because of the illness, which has started amid the controversy caused by Ronaldo in a tell-all interview criticizing Manchester United. The Super Eagles head coach Jose Peseiro has called on 3-time African champions to aim for victory over host Portugal in Thursday's international friendly in Lisbon. Both countries go for each other's jugular at the 50,000 capacity Jose Alvalade Stadium in what is the first senior international clash between them. And Brentford striker Ivan Toney faces a lengthy ban after being charged by the English FA for 232 alleged breaches of betting rules over a 4-year period. Toney, who had been in contention for England's World Cup squad last week, admitted he was assisting the FA with this investigation into historic breaking of gambling rules. And that's a wrap on Sports News.
Thank you, Ayotunde. And the main news again. The PDP presidential candidate, Mr. Atiku Abubakar, today condemned what he termed the lopsided appointment of heads of the nation's security agencies. Mr. Abubakar, who made the comment in Lagos at an interactive session with the Nigerian Guild of Editors, also restated his commitment to restructuring the country. Also today, the APC presidential candidate, Chief Bola Tinubu, defended his choice of a Muslim running mate during a meeting with the leadership of CAN in Abuja. He emphasized the need for a secular government and to work in the interest of the country. And that's the news at 10 for tonight, everyone. Thank you for watching. I'm Kayode Okikule. Good night.